phantom, the form of a horseman rushing swiftly into the very teeth of the wind. The whistle wavered, ended, and in its place the long yell of a wolf cut the air. Mac Strann brandished a ponderous fist in defiance that was half hysterical. Man or beast alone he would meet, but a wolf man! He whirled the horse again and urged him heedlessly into the water. The whirlpool no longer opened before him. It had passed on down the arroyo and left in its wake a comparative calm, so that when the horse took the water he made good progress for some distance, until Mac Strann could see clearly the farther bank of the stream. In his joy he shouted to his horse and swung himself clear from his saddle to lighten the burden. At the same time they struck a heavier current, and it struck them down like a blow from above until the water closed over their heads. It was only for a moment, however. Then they emerged, the horse with courageously pricking ears and snorting nostrils just above the flood. Mac Strann swung clear, gripping the horn of the saddle with one hand, while with the other he hastily divested himself of all superfluous weight. His slicker went first, ripped away from the throat and the shoulders, and whipped off his body by one tug of the current. Next he fumbled at his belt and tossed this also, guns and all, away, striking out with his legs and his free arm to aid the progress that now forged ahead with noticeable speed. The current, to be sure, was carrying them farther down the stream, but they were now almost to the center of the arroyo, and though the water boiled furiously over the back of the horse, they forged steadily close and closer to the safe shore. It was chance that defeated Mac Strann. It came shooting down the river, and he saw it only an instant too late, a log whipping through the surface of the stream as though impelled by a living force, and with arrowy straightness it lunged at them. Mac Strann heaved himself high. He screamed at the horse as though the poor brute could understand his warning, and then the tree trunk was upon them. Fair and square it struck the head of the horse with a thud audible even through the rushing of the stream. The horse went down like lead, and Mac Strann was dragged down beneath the surface. He came up fighting grimly and hopelessly for life, for he was in the very center of the stream now, and the current swept him relentlessly down. There seemed to be hands in the middle of the arroyo, and when he strove to battle his way to the edge of the water the current tangled at his legs and pulled him back. Yet even then he did not fear. It was death, he knew, but at least it was a death fighting against the force of nature rather than destruction at the hands of some weird and unhuman agency. His arms began to grow numb. He raised his head to pick out the nearest point on the shore and made his last struggle for life. What he saw was a black head cutting the water just above him, and beside the horse, one hand upon the beast's mane, swam a man. At the same instant a hand fastened on his collar, and he was drawn slowly against the force of the river. In the stunning surprise of the first moment he could make no effort to save himself, and as a result all three were washed hopelessly down the current. But a shrill warning from his rescuer set him fighting again with all the power of his great limbs. After that they forged steadily towards the shore. The black horse swam with amazing strength, and breaking the force of the current for the men, they soon passed from the full grip of the torrent and forged into the smoother shallows at the side of the stream. In a moment firm land was beneath the feet of Mac Strann, and he turned his dull eyes of amazement upon Dan Barry. The latter stood beside the panting black horse. He had not even thrown off his slicker in the fording of the stream. There had been no time for even that small delay if he wished to save Strann. And now he was throwing back the folds of the garment to leave free play for his arms. He panted from the fierce effort of the fording, but his head was high. A singular smile lingered about the corners of his mouth, and in his eyes Mac Strann saw the gleam of yellow, a signal of unfathomable danger. From his holsters Barry drew two revolvers. One he retained, the other he tossed towards Mac Strann, and the latter caught it automatically. "Now," said the soft voice of Barry, "we're equally armed. Down, Bart." for the wolf dog was slinking with ominous intent toward the giant. "And there's the dog you shot. If you drop me you can send your next shot into Bart. If I drop you the teeth of Bart will be in your throat. Make your own terms. Fight in the way you want, knives if you like 'em better than guns, or," and here the yellow flamed terribly in Barry's eyes, "bare hand to hand." The grim truth sank slowly home in the dull mind of Mac Strann. The man had saved him from the water to kill him on dry land. "Barry," he said slowly, "it was your bullet that brung down Jerry. But you've paid me back here. There's nothing left on earth worth fighting for. There's your gun." And he threw the revolver into the mud at Barry's feet and turned on his heel and lumbered off into the rain. There was no voice of answer behind him, except a shrill whine of rage from Black Bart and then a sharp command, "Down," from the master. As the blanket of rain shut over him, Mac Strann looked back. There stood the strange man with the wolf crouched at his feet, and the teeth of Bart were bared, and the hum of his horrible snarling carried to Strann through the beat of the rain. Mac Strann turned again and plodded slowly through the storm. And Dan Barry? Twice men had stood before him, armed, and twice he had failed to kill. Wonder rose in him, wonder and a great fear. Was he losing the desert? Was the desert losing him? Were the chains of humanity falling about him to drag him down to a tamed and sordid life? A sudden hatred for all men, Mac Strann, Daniels, Kate, and even poor Joe Cumberland, welled hot in the breast of Whistling Dan. The strength of men could not conquer him, but how could their very weakness disarm him? He leaped again on the back of Satan and rode furiously back into the storm. End of chapter 40.